Hey, Core 13 youth. Here we are today in James chapter 4, verse 13. Let's take a look. Now listen, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why? Do you not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast and brag. All such boasting is evil. Anyone then who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it sins. So we've been in a pandemic for like 2 months now. And we've had school shut down and sports shut down. And I think the temptation during this time is to kind of just spend each day waiting for it all to end. For this whole pandemic thing to pass us by. Maybe your day looks kind of like this. I hope everything goes back to normal soon. When quarantine is over, I'm going to watch no more TV. When quarantine is over, I'm going to do sports. When quarantine's over, I'm going to take a trip. No more toilet paper. When quarantine's over, I'm going to get toilet paper. Okay, so maybe that's not exactly what your day looks like, and it's not really what mine look like all the time either. But the point is that a lot of us right now are in a place where we are just waiting and hoping for all of this to end so we can go back to the normal life. A lot of us are thinking about what I'm going to do when all this is over, what I'm going to go back to doing, what the things I'm missing are. But I think in this, we're missing out on an opportunity, and I think James points out another option here. See, James points out that we shouldn't be looking forward to what's going to happen tomorrow, to what tomorrow's going to bring for us, and just trying to get through today so that a better day can be there. In fact, he says the next day isn't even promised. Why would we live like that? Our lives are so temporary. Why would we give up a whole day in hopes that tomorrow is going to be better? Rather, we are to take the day we're given. We're rather to take what God has given us and to live each day with Him in mind. Look ahead to the next day and say, if it be God's will, here's what I'd like to do with my day. And then we do as best we can with each of those days. And so if we know the good that we ought to do each day, but we don't do it, we sin because God has gifted us that day to live out. This pandemic in many ways has offered us a great opportunity. Many of us have lives that were chaotically busy, so filled with activities, with pressure and expectations. And all of a sudden, a lot of those things have been shut down. There's no expectation for you to perform sports at a competitive level. There's no expectation for you to be on the team. There's no expectation that you're going to be in class every day at a specific time. Those expectations will be taken away. There's not even an expectation that you be at church or at youth group because those programs aren't even running right now. We just make videos and share them to you online. See, with the expectations down and the pressures to be busy gone, this is a great opportunity, not for us to wallow in misery like this, but rather, this gives us a great opportunity to explore and put our efforts and our time into the things we think are the most valuable, to what I think is most valuable, to what you think is most valuable. If I really believe that Jesus is who He claimed to be, that God really does exist, and that He really made us and He loves us, then right now, I have no excuse to be avoiding Him. I have no excuse to not be in the Word, to be praying, to be speaking with those who I look up to in the faith to educate me and train me. I have no excuses right now to not log in and view these videos. I have no excuses right now to not continue to commit my life daily to be one that honors God. And when the busyness comes back, when the pandemic is over, when we start to go back to the old life, we have the choice to make. We don't have to go back to the same busyness and expectations, to the same chaos. We can make a choice to focus our life in the way that we want it to be focused. We could choose to focus our life in the direction that God would have us go. We could choose to truly live a life of worship to Him. A life that is truly lived out for God and not for ourselves and not for others and not for our school and not for our country and not for our world and its betterment. Though those things are all okay, they're secondary to God. And we could choose to focus our life living for God instead of making God secondary and living our life for all these other things. So my encouragement to you is this: don't live your life this next couple of weeks wallowing in self-pity or feelings of loss, in this feeling of everything's been taken from me, in this uncertainty and this desire to just move on to the next stage, to just come out of this pandemic and go back to how it all was. Let's not go there. Let's not live that way. Let's instead embrace what we've been given here, the day we've been given, with less busyness, with less expectation, and way more time for God. You know, the Bible teaches us a bunch of disciplines. One of them is fasting. And a lot of people ask me about fasting. Like, what's the point? Why do we bother with not eating for a significant amount of time? And there's two major reasons. The first one is about submitting ourselves to God. So the first reason is, if I'm relying on myself and food to provide for myself, and I'm okay on my own, and I don't need any support from God, then that can lead me to self-centeredness and to sin. However, by fasting, I recognize that God provides my needs, that God fills me, that God cares for me. But the other thing we do in fasting is that in the times when we could be eating, instead of eating, we give that eating time to God. We give Him our time. Well, our world just now has gone into this pandemic, and essentially all of us are fasting from all of the activities and schedules and business that we used to have. And one of the things that we learn from this is reliance on God, that He is our source, He is our strength, He is our refuge, He is the place where we feel most secure. We don't need all these other things. And if you feel insecure, unsafe, and like your world is chaos right now, turn to God. Turn to Christ. If you are relying on your job or on your sports and activities or on your marks at school to be the source of who you were, your stability in life, to give you the foundation of your of security of your identity, it's all shattering right now. It's falling apart. So turn to Christ, turn to God. He is our foundation. We learn to be reliant on Him. And the second thing is that now we have a whole lot of time. We have a ton of time on our plate. When you would be going off to that basketball practice, you're not going now, crack open your Bible. Spend a few minutes in prayer. When you would be going to class in the morning, maybe you should do your schoolwork if you've been emailed your schoolwork by your teachers or whatever. But you can probably do it faster at home on your own. Probably. And so after you get the work done and you've still got time where that class will be running, why don't you crack open your Bible and spend some time in prayer? Or call your youth pastor or one of your youth leaders. Talk to them about what you believe. Talk to them about what you're wrestling with. Talk to them about what's good and what's bad in your life right now. And don't let it just sound like this. All right, let's not let this opportunity pass us by. We have been brought into a situation where we are essentially fasting from what we used to live in. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. So let us get up, open up our Bibles, live for Christ daily, have Him as our foundation and source, and we can become Christians who truly follow the one who came to lead us. That's James chapter 4. We'll gather next week for James chapter 5. Have a good long weekend. See you guys.